Welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, today we're diving straight into a massive, literally high-stakes shift happening right now. We're talking about autonomous AI agents finally gaining the ability to transact natively on the web.
So think about this for a second. How exactly did a missing piece of internet code from the 1990s suddenly unlock the ability for physical AI robots to just buy and sell on their own? I mean, it sounds like pure science fiction, right? But it's actually happening. Today, we're cracking open a true tech cold case. It's this absolutely fascinating anomaly where a totally dormant piece of internet architecture got revived to power a whole new economy of autonomous, physical machines.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap to solve this 30-year-old internet mystery. We're going to cover the 30-year digital gap, escaping the Ricardian trap, the Chopsticks Design, the surgical three-step loop, powering agentic commerce, and finally, digital to physical reality.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the 30-year digital gap, a tech cold case.
Now look at the sheer absurdity of this timeline. Look at that massive gap. Back in 1996, internet pioneers, like Tim Berners-Lee, actually reserved the HTTP 402 status code specifically for native web transactions. And by 1998, it was officially solidified as payment required. So the creators knew we'd eventually need a built-in way to pay for things. But then, crickets. Literally nothing happened. For nearly 30 years, this foundational payment layer just gathered digital dust. It sat completely empty. That is until the X402 protocol finally arrived in 2025 to breathe life back into it for autonomous agents.
Moving right along to Section 2, escaping the Ricardian trap, the monolithic wall.
For years, developers were just banging their heads against a wall trying to build direct, on-chain payment protocols. The main culprit? Something called Ricardian complexity. Imagine you're just trying to buy a simple pack of gum at a convenience store, right? But to do it, you have to bring a whole team of lawyers, draft a dense, 50-page legal document, and get a notary to stamp it right there at the cash register. It's ridiculous, but that is Ricardian complexity in a nutshell. Engineers kept trying to bind these heavy, text-based legal agreements directly to simple digital value transfers, and it just created this impenetrable, monolithic wall that made scaling machine payments virtually impossible.
And this brilliantly illustrates the philosophical shift that finally fixed the problem. Think about it. You wouldn't build a hyper-complex, million-dollar robotic arm just to pick up a single piece of sushi, right? No way. You'd just use two simple sticks. They're elegant, they're precise, and they get the exact same job done perfectly. So instead of dragging around massive, bloated smart contracts, developers realized they could just use lightweight, surgical webhooks. Just a simple digital tap on the shoulder. Which brings us to Section 3, the Chopsticks Design, elegant engineering.
The developers behind the X402 protocol fully embraced this exact chopsticks mindset. They stated, and I quote, "We permanently trade that foggy ecosystem for manual sweat-of-the-brow authorship, the streamlined chopsticks webhook, and ultimate hardware execution." So, what does this all mean? Basically, we are finally abandoning the chaotic, automated guessing games of the legacy web. This is a massive shift toward deterministic, simple engineering that entirely bypasses those heavy, centralized intermediaries.
To really understand why AI needs this, we have to look at the clash between two very different systems. On the one hand, we have wet code. That's traditional human commerce. It's inherently ambiguous, highly relational, and, well, forgiving. We use credit cards, monthly subscriptions, and KYC checks because humans are forgiving. But AI agents? They don't have passports. They don't have pockets for plastic. They operate on dry code, machine law. This requires absolute, unyielding mathematical rules and exact deterministic proofs. For an AI to act as an independent economic unit, it absolutely needs a system that executes flawlessly every single time with zero human intervention.
Let's see how this actually works in Section 4, the surgical three-step loop, X402 in action.
This is the true genius of the X402 webhook architecture. It's this incredibly brisk, beautifully straightforward three-step rhythm. Step 1, an AI agent requests a resource, and the server simply returns our revived 402 status code demanding payment. It doesn't panic with complex logic, it just waits. Step 2, the autonomous agent's wallet steps in and natively signs a cryptographic proof of payment, often executing a micropayment in USDC or Satoshis. And Step 3, the client simply retries the exact same HTTP request, hands over the receipt, and boom, the server instantly unlocks the resource. It's a deterministic, event-driven loop that flawlessly connects digital value to actions, completely bypassing human billing departments and all that smart contract bloat we talked about.
Now let's look at the real-world impact in Section 5, powering agentic commerce, machine to machine.
When you completely remove human friction from payments, you unlock an entirely new economy. We're talking about usage-based AI models that can actually charge per inference, API monetization that bills per request instead of relying on clunky monthly subscriptions. Autonomous agents can now purchase services programmatically, on the fly. We've got micropayments settling instantly. And perhaps most importantly, background payments that function with absolutely zero UI prompts. I mean, machines can now independently pay for their own compute in fractions of a cent, all settled in literal milliseconds. It's a real game changer.
But you might be wondering, who is actually clicking the buy button here? Well, no one. Meet Polycretus. This is an autonomous agent cell, a highly disciplined AI orchestrator that acts as a deterministic scripter. While the human pilot provides the high-level intent, it's Polycretus that handles the rigorous computational sweat required to process the X402 webhook natively, right out of the network edge. It perfectly bridges human imagination with rigid, unyielding machine execution without any human ever needing to hold the steering wheel.
Which leads us to our final section, Section 6, Digital to Physical Reality, the Semiotic Bridge.
So the crucial point here is how this abstract digital exactness actually crosses over into our physical world without just breaking down. If you use traditional event-driven programming, one delayed signal can ruin a whole physical sequence. The solution? Lifeboat JSON state trees. By utilizing a strictly ordered, last-in, first-out ledger, imagine always just reading the top sheet of a stack of papers. The system only ever needs to query index 0. This gives an immediate, flawless mathematical proof of the system state. It essentially compresses fuzzy AI logic down into pure mathematical certainty so physical machines know exactly what to do.
And here is the ultimate proof of that in action, the Flow X402 CheerBot. This isn't just a 3D printed desktop toy. It's a fully functioning robotic vending machine. It just sits there, constantly reading that mathematically pure LIFO JSON state. When a verified 402 payment hits the webhook, the CheerBot instantly reacts. It translates that bit-perfect digital truth into raw electrical signals, sending them straight to the physical GPIO pins on its internal Raspberry Pi. Those metal pins literally shock the bot into action, dispensing a physical piece of candy right there on your desk. It is the literal manifestation of a digital 402 payment manipulating physical reality.
Which leaves us with a pretty profound question to wrap up today's explainer. As the very architecture of the web continues to evolve right in front of us, what role are you going to play? Are you going to succumb to centralized cloud enclosure, relying entirely on huge tech monopolies to host your interactions? Or, now that tools like X402 webhooks and local deterministic execution actually exist, will you secure your own digital sovereignty and command your own reality? Take some time to ponder that. Thank you so much for joining me today, Focus Learners, and keep building.